Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me Isabel here with my January stats, highs, lows, surprises, DNFs, all that good stuff. I cannot believe we finally exited the month of January. That somehow was an absolute eternity. I don't remember January 2023 feeling this long, but January 2024 was too long. Overstayed their welcome. Goodbye. So happy it's over. But yeah, I'm here to talk about not all 18 books I read, but the highs and all the good stuff around the 18 books I read. If you want to know everything I read, it's in my Instagram stories and or the weekly vlogs. Generally speaking, has most of these books. I tend to read so much. I don't love doing a full wrap up if you're new here. That's why I do this instead. And I feel like I just talk about these books enough in other places that I don't need to do every single book. Either way, let's dive into these stats because I think it's kind of fascinating. As a refresher, one of my goals this year is to read one nonfiction or like not normal format book that I would normally read, and then to read 50 to 60% underrepresented authors. That would include Black, Indigenous, and people of color in general, so AOC, authors of color, anyone who has a chronic disability, chronic illness, disability, a different religion than me, like if it's Jewish representation or Muslim or anything like that as well counts, Buddhist, anything that is not my, like, well, I mean, I'm not religious, but you know what I'm saying, not the norm counts. And then also like a fat character, things like that. Just this, it encompasses the whole realm of potential intersectionalities. So my goal is 50 to 60% of my books for the whole year, which means every month I need to be hitting 50 to 60% is that. So we'll keep that in mind because we're going to go over that here too a little bit. But yeah, let's dive in and talk about stats. So I read 18 books for a total of 4,256 pages. When we added manga, I'm at like 6,000, almost 7,000 pages. My average rating was a 3.8. I had a lot of 3.5s this month, which was surprising. And I'm going to say, I hope this is not a sign for the rest of the year's reading. I'm hoping we still have some favorites. I did have one favorite in January, but fingers crossed, y'all. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I listened to a total of 26.75 hours, so 26 hours and I don't know, I'll say 40-ish minutes of audiobooks. I'm not gonna do that math. So that's at my speed that I listened to the book at. So that would be between 2.5 to 3 times speed. I read 3 books from KU. So that's really exciting. And then I read 2 books from my library, which is very low for me. But with Read What You Own, I'm expecting my library numbers to kind of plummet a little bit at the beginning of the year. I reread 1 book, and then for our age demographics, we had 17 adult titles and 1 young adult title. Format-wise, I read 3 ebooks, 14 audiobooks, and 1 graphic novel, which was a digital, but I like to pull graphics out because it's different, especially now that I also track my manga reading separately, so that'll be in the manga log and haul if you want that data. That'll be living over there now. So yeah, I'm really surprised and unsurprised about some of this. So let's dive right into my DNFs and my lows. These are just going to go together because I had 1 DNF and 1 low this month. So first of all, I DNF'd Ruby Spencer's Whiskey Year. I tried to read this. I read about 50 to 60 pages of this. I found this to be so unengaging as a story. It is about a woman who leaves her job in New York City. She basically quits and runs off to Scotland to write a cookbook and stay at this inn as a live-in chef helper person. Which is fine. Like, I think that has a great premise, but it's very, like, we barely met the love interest by page 50. It read very women's fic. Again, don't love the term, but what else are we going to call it right now? And women's fic trying to be romance. I didn't really feel that much of a connection between the 2 main characters. I honestly didn't really find our heroine engaging. Ruby felt very millennial core in, like, the worst ways. So I don't love that. Did not love that personally as a reader. So there's that. But this just did not work for me. First DNF of the year. I'm proud of myself because I would love to DNF more in 2024. Like, I think that's a skill I need to get better at. So I'm always trying to improve. So already starting the year with a DNF feels like a win in a weird way, but it's also sad because I wanted to like the book, of course. Next, we have my members pick from December that I was behind on. They know. There's been so much going on. But we read Season of Love by Helena Greer. Now, this is not like a, oh my god, I'm never reading from this author again low. This is a, I didn't get what I wanted out of this book low. I hope that makes sense to y'all. Like, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. So I am going to read the next book in this series to see what I think and see if Helena is for me or not. Because the more I sit on Season of Love, the sadder I get. This is billed as like a sapphic, semi-holiday based rom-com. This features our Jewish love interest, and her aunt, who is Jewish, runs a Christmas tree farm, which is really cute. And I love that setup. Like, I think it's really fun. And it is about coming together to grieve her aunt who has passed, kind of, and her meeting this person that works for her aunt and her aunt was close with, that is like close to her age. This isn't like the person's her aunt's age. I was disappointed because it's Fade to Black. I'm not opposed to Fade to Black. I actually have a Fade to Black rec video, y'all, coming at some point. Or Fade to Black-ish, we'll call it. Because I read a lot of books that, like, are kind of, you know, like, they're not full Fade to Black. But, yeah, I've got a video coming eventually on that. But what I will say is I don't need, like, every sex scene to be, like, a full-blown sex scene in my books. But I do enjoy them. And I always get a little sad when a sapphic is Fade to Black. Because I just feel like we don't, like, we always need more of this in our sapphic books, in my opinion. Like, we always need more boning. Duh. So yeah, it's Fade to Black. It was very like melodramatic in a weird way that I didn't love, which also gave it that women's fic feeling. Like, I generally enjoy Forever as an imprint at a publishing house, but this for me, I just had a disconnect between what I thought I was getting and what I actually got. I enjoyed the representation in this book around our different kinds of sapphics, and you know, we had a more butch heroine and our more femme heroine who did like art and stuff. I thought that was really interesting, but it really just like missed for me repeatedly. Like, it was really hard to get through because I felt like it was such a miss of a read for me. So that was disappointing. All right, let's talk about my surprises. Good things, positive things, kind of. First up, we have Mislaid in Parts Half Known. This is the newest Shauna Maguire. I actually got an arc of this, which was like thrilling. I don't usually get tour arcs, but I've been getting them lately, so I don't know what's going on. Either way, I really enjoyed this one. I think this for me was a surprise, not because I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I go into the Wayward Children series generally not really like reading the summary or anything. I just pick the book up when it comes out or request the arc, right? And I left this one really excited because I feel like this book, I don't know if the next book is the last book in this series or not. I've not looked. I don't care if it is or not. But I feel like we're setting up to tackle the next issue that has been kind of present throughout the stories already, because it's a continuation from Lost and Found in the Moment, the book 8, right? We're reading like a continuation of that story. And I think this one like kind of set me up in a way where I'm like really excited for next January's book. I am excited to see what happens in book 10. Are we addressing some of the issues that come in this? I'm being vague because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I feel like we have like a reckoning coming, and it surprised me at how much of that was set up in this book. Also, it surprised me at how much I enjoyed being back with the exact same characters again. I have always enjoyed when Hevery showed up in the Wayward Children series, but I really liked Ansi. I think she's a really enjoyable character to read. And I don't know, I'm very excited, and it just surprised me at how much I liked it. I knew I would like it, but I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. All right, next up we have my reread of the month, which was Rock Chicks. We're doing a live show all year, once a month, reading a Rock Chicks book, and we'll be done in the fall, I think, to get ready to read a new one that came out. So because of that, I reread Rock Chicks, and this is a book I have now reread 3 times. 3 times, and as like your person who does not reread, that's a lot. I also reread this book last time in like 2019, and it still held up. And my review, I agreed with everything I said in 2019. I had fun. These books are fun. You can engage with them critically. I'm not saying that, but you have to be aware of what they are and when they come from, because they're from like 2007, 2008. So they were probably written in 2005 or 6. They are dated, okay? They have a lot of propaganda present, but I don't feel like we were interrogating propaganda or as much as we do now. I don't think that we had the resources either like we do now. Like, I am able to be a better advocate and ally for things, I feel like, because I'm able to find resources better now than I ever was in my life, which is fantastic. But I don't feel like we were investigating that as much these days. You know, all the cops in this book are like good and just the best people and hot, and it's whatever. But our hero, Lee, is of course a security guy, former military ops guy. And that part is ridiculous. And it's very funny because I did read these back in my military spouse days and then like post-military spouse days. So that's funny to me. But I felt like the way Kristen Ashley does it is like she doesn't like ping my brain for like you're getting this wrong constantly, because she doesn't really talk about it. It's just kind of there. Like, it's vague and empty. This is a second chance romance, which I also don't normally love, but I did enjoy quite a bit. I think for me, the highlight and the surprise of the reread was how bad the outfits held up for me. I knew. I was like, I cannot wait to read these freaking outfits, and how like dated is this book gonna be? Because it's a contemporary romantic suspense situation. You know, they're slamming their flip phones shut, and I was just like, oh, that was a satisfying time, y'all. That was a satisfying time. You know, they're slamming flip phones shut. Lots of rhinestones, which feels very like pre-2010, very like mid-2000s. It was so good. I really did enjoy those elements of this, and though dated, I think it's fun to read contemporaries that read dated, because like otherwise it wouldn't be a contemporary book, you know? Like, it was contemporary of its time, and now it's a relic, kind of. This was just so fun. I don't know that I recommend people read this series if they haven't before. We were discussing, like, it was my first Kristen Ashley series. May not be the best starting point, but I have a lot of nostalgia for it. But also will tell you from the get-go, there are a lot of problems. So tread with caution. Next up, we have Not My Type by Evie Mitchell. This is one of those ones that has been lingering on my Kindle and on my audiobook app. Like, it has been on my TBR forever. And this was January's pick for my members, so they got a vlog for this one. And I wanted to love this book, like, as much as all of my friends loved this book, so much. But I think I'm on the side of, like, a lot of my members and I were discussing, it needed 50 more pages. I needed more of these two as a couple. I do think, again, the representation here, fan-freaking-tastic. The various representation here, fantastic. The, like, consent, fantastic. The way in which our hero is like, no, I'm tearing this wall down so you can get in this bathroom in your wheelchair, fantastic. And I, like, so much of this, loved it. Absolutely fantastic, right? But then, like, by the end of the book, I was like, I just needed a little more. Like, the third act thing happens, and I was like, I still needed more of you two together. But it was still a really fun and sweet book. I gave it like a 3.5. Like, it's not a bad book by any means. But I was just surprised at what stood out to me in this book versus what I expected to stand out, I think, at the end of the day. I was surprised I didn't have a 6-star favorite on my hands, but I'm not, like, mad that I'm never gonna read. I'm still reading Evie Mitchell. Like, there's no world I'm not reading more Evie Mitchell. Also, I can't put it up here because I'll probably get flagged, but you should go look up the not safe for work covers for these books, because whoo, fantastic. Overall, this was a good time. I do think it feels like an easy read, a good probably introduction to Evie Mitchell if you haven't read her yet. I really liked Silent Night personally. That's my favorite. It is kind of Ted Lasso inspired, so there's that. That's where I land on that one. I'm a little sad I didn't love it more, but it is what it is, you know? All right, let's talk about my highs and finish up this video. Okay, so I'm in a dark romance kick. I've talked about this in vlogs a little bit, talked about it in some other places. So drop me your racks. I do think I'm gonna start a Mafia series that I've been putting off soon, like in the next day or two, so there's that. But I marathoned the last 2 books in Toxic Paradise. By the last two I haven't read, okay? Because technically I read book 1 and 3. So I read Skeletons of Society, and this is the first one. I read book 2 first, and I loved it. And I'm gonna say this. If you're intrigued, you need to read book 1 or 2 first, and then you can read book 3. Do not start with book 3. I think it's too much of a spoiler. It kind of wraps up a lot of the story throughout the whole thing. So you kind of need the setup of book 1 and 2. Go in order or don't. If you want the Wide Shoes first, read the Wide Shoes first. That's what I did. But I finished Skeletons of Society, and oh my goodness. So first of all, Ryan, our heroine, is a total badass. She is running a adult dancer club, burlesque show. That's what it is, like a burlesque club. She also is running guns for the cartel, and she is such a badass. And then Gunnar, our hero, is helping run the guns as well, and is part of the Skeletons of Society motorcycle club, and it's their romance. And Ryan is like I'm not gonna do shit for anybody, like I'm gonna take care of myself, I don't need a man, in the best ways. And we deal with her kind of reckoning with a person who saved her as a child, and I really enjoyed these elements here. It was really fun. I will say, as far as like the cartel stuff goes in these books, like organized crime is present across the board in these books around different kinds of organized crime. Like, it's not just cartel as you move through the series. And I like that fact. I like that we aren't just focusing on one group being organized crime. Like, there's a variety. Also, I feel like book 1 deals the most heavy with it. So take that for note too. Like, she obviously is part of it, so it's kind of plays into it more. But this was a really fun read. I think this kind of gave me a lot of the dark romance vibes I was looking for right now, in the perfect way, in a fun delivery. Like, it was a fun little package wrapped up for me, and I was like, I'm glad I saved this and read it when I did. Because then I dove into book 3, which is Nikki, who we meet in book 1, and Dex, who we also meet in book 1's book. And then our book 2 characters also show up. And this one revolves more around them taking down some more of the big bads in the universe that we've heard about. And Nikki's on the run because she was married to, or almost married off to, we don't know for sure the legality here, a leader in the Bratva. And she ran off on our wedding day, basically. She was a runaway bride. So we're following her like a couple years later after she's run away, and is now been found again, and what that means and what's going on. So it's a good time, and Dex is set up to guard her, and they've hooked up. Well, let me rephrase that. He ate her out once. They have not hooked up, and they have to share a 1-bedroom apartment. So we have like forced proximity. We have a lot of tension. Dex is like a golden retriever that'll kill for you. Which is like the weirdest, but that's Dex. Like, Dex is 100% a golden retriever who will kill for you. And he was so fun. Nikki was so fun. She's obviously bearing a lot of trauma from her childhood. Shocking when you are in an arranged marriage situation at like 18 to someone who's like 35. Surprise! So she's dealing with a lot of trauma, and also like doesn't want her friends to get hurt. So there's a lot of kind of dumb mistakes, but overall I really enjoyed how this wrapped up, and then the way this brought in everybody from the past 2 books as well was really fun and cute. I just had such a fun time. This was just really fun to read overall for me. I really like the series. I'm really glad I read it. I honestly am like now like, okay, well what's next? What can I read next? Because I am in the mood for these right now. So like, fitting, obviously, the month of love, let me read the most fucked up shit I can find. But also not too fucked up, because like, I have limits. So if you got Rex, let me know. And the other book that is a high for me, unsurprising, I am a stan, I'm a fan, I love her. House Will Take Over by Christina C. Jones. This one, I was told had That's My Wife energy, and boy did it have That's My Wife energy. This is my only 6-star for the month of January. And I don't know if Christina C. Jones just kind of default 6 stars for me. I'd say that, but like, I would DNF a book if I didn't enjoy it from her. This for me though was so good. There's a moment at the last like quarter of the book when I was reading it, and Heather over at He Booktubes was like, have you gotten to this part, this table scene? And I was like, this just happened. She's like, no, wait. And then it happened, and I messaged her and I was like, Heather, yes, please. This one was fun. So this is an arranged marriage between Orion and Nala. Nala's family owns a Black-owned grocery store that's been like a thing in the Blackwood community for a long time. Orion's family runs like another grocery store and some other like businesses, and very, very wealthy. So he has bought the property that their grocery store is on because Nala's dad has gotten into some shit, and she has to marry him so that the store can save the family. And it is such a good time. There is so much tension here. This definitely is not quite enemies to lovers, but is a little bit enemies to lovers. It is very much I'm gonna fulfill this contract. We will have sex like once a week or whatever until I have a baby. Blah 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 blah. Like, I will fulfill this contract, and then I'm out. I'm gone. That's Nala. She's like, I'm not doing this. And Orion's like, yeah, you are. We're doing this. I like you. And anytime people would come after her or like be rude to her, he was like, absolutely not. And that is my wife. You will not speak to her that way. And I was just like, we love it. We love to see it. This, for me, I think it delivered way more than I thought it would. It gave me everything I wanted out of Christina C. Jones writing Billionaires. I love this energy. It's still messy, too. Like, there is family drama. There's ex drama. There's family doing really bad things drama. Like, I love it. I'm excited. I hope we're getting more books in this series with other characters we've already met. I also really enjoyed the, like, friend group Nala, our female heroine, had, because often I feel like we read these books and these women just have no friends, and it took me a long time to find my friend group, okay, like as an adult, but I cannot imagine not having them. And also the fact that they would literally like do the same things that I'm seeing in this book. They would be roasting me in the same position as I would them, and also caring and all the things, you know, like so good. Anyways, fantastic read. I love Christina C. Jones. I do want to work through more of her backlist in 2024. I don't know if I'll ever be caught up, but that's fine. I definitely plan on it, like focusing on it a little bit here every month, potentially like once or twice a month reading more from her backlist. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Either way, it was a good time. I got nothing else for y'all though. I think that's it. So let me know your favorite book or your least favorite book in January, or both. Give me both. How did your reading go? Do you feel like you set a good tone for the rest of the year? How are we feeling? Let me know. I'm very curious. I'm hoping my 3.5s are not a trend for the rest of the year, but we'll see. We'll see. If you don't want to do either of those things or any of those things, you can leave me a sun emoji, because it is like sunny out and I stood outside earlier and I was just like, summer? Spring? Are you here? I'm a fall girl, but I still was like, are you here? So leave me a sunshine, because I enjoyed getting a little sun today actually. So you can tell the winter, the fool's spring is here for a hot minute in Tennessee, and it will not hang around, but it also will be back quickly because we don't have bad winters here. Too bad. Anyways, I'll have links to all these books for you down below, links to me, my friend, anywhere on the internet, and I will be back to talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is